Good morning. Today, we are playing the $5,000 World Poker Tour main event, Day 1A. You might as well run hot on Day 1A, that way you don't have to play Day 1B or Day 1C or re-enter. This could be a very costly series because you can re-enter a bunch. So with any luck, that will not be me this time.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm stoked to be here. I absolutely love this city and this poker group. All of you locals who are so lucky to have this poker group. I mean, it's incredible. Congratulations to Playground. It already was incredible and now they've expanded even larger. So it's pretty impressive. And this event is insane. $5 million guarantee for the main event. We've got the $1 million guarantee just in the other room. And I mean, that's all possible because of this poker. Yeah, with our partnership with PartyPoker, this is just the beginning. We just announced 5 more stops next year for the World Poker Tour on PartyPoker Live, which will circle us back here to Playground Poker Club here in Montreal next October, November, again.
We are on the first break. Must mean I've played some hands. Today, unlike yesterday, I have won every pot. I actually had the effective nuts twice. I made 2 times pot river bets with both of them, and I got paid. Actually, it was kind of fortunate. One time I bluffed in a very similar manner right before, and the bluff did not get called. And then I made the effective nuts a second later, and I got paid. So that was lucky. We started with 40,000 chips, and I have 80,000. I have a pretty fun table. I'm playing with Kitty Quo. She's always good to mess around. And also, I'm playing with a guy, Take Chip. He has one of my favorite hands. If you've seen that post I made on YouTube, or about YouTube hands, he ends up doing a magic trick in the middle of a hand whenever his opponent's staring him down. So it's pretty fun. So he's at my table, but he's 3-bet a lot. He's opened almost none, but he's 3-bet a ton. So that's nice. He's 2 to my right, so we'll hang out and see how that goes. But so far there aren't very many people in the tournament, but you're going to find that often happens, which is one of the reasons to buy in on the later starting days. People always ask me which starting day to play, and the answer is usually the latest, unless a particular day happens to fall on a weekend. Like say for some reason Day 1C is on a weekend, well, you should probably play on the weekend days. Or if Day 1A is on the weekend, you should probably play on the weekend day, just because that's when most people who have jobs have off, right? But today, right now, it looks like there are only 56 people, and they're guaranteeing 1,000, which tells you what? It tells you you have plenty of time to re-enter, and it also tells you that most of the people are going to be playing the last day possible, and if people are going to be playing the last day possible, that is when you want to play. That said, if you're a pro and you're looking for every little edge, and you're properly bankrolled for the event, you should probably just play as many times as you can. So that's what we're doing. Maybe I'll continue running hot for the next 5 days. Well, I'm on dinner break. That means we made it 4 hours. I did not win any hands that level, so that's unfortunate. Right as soon as we came back from break, I had kings. A loose aggressive player raised.
For 5-5 below, Jonathan F.
They said Jonathan, but it's not me. A loose aggressive player raised from the hijack seat. Cutoff called. I made it standard 3-bet from the button. Initial raiser called. Cutoff then shoved. I made it 2,500. No, that's not right. I can never remember hands. I made it 2,500. He jammed 20K, 20,000. So he called the raise and then back jammed me. Obviously I called kings. He had ace-3 of spades. He flopped an ace, so I doubled him up. A little while later, I found myself in a pretty tricky spot. It'd be too long for this. I may discuss it on A Little Coffee, my daily morning show, so make sure you go back and watch that. Anyway, it was an unfortunate spot where I had a bluff catcher against a loose aggressive player, and he wasn't bluffing, he just flopped 2 pair. So that was lame. That got me back to a starting stack, and from there I just kind of hung around. I really did not get very many cards that level. But, you all know, that's how it goes sometimes. That's how it goes most of the time. So now I'm going to go have a dinner. They give us a free dinner buffet, I guess, for playing the tournament. So I'm going to go check that out. Let's see what we have for dinner. Fish and tomatoes, sign me up. I'm the last one to the buffet. I was busy making a video blog. Go figure. If you're on tilt, though, you have chocolate cookies. Chocolate and chocolate cookies. Here we are at the end of day one. We have a whopping half of a starting stack. We tried to bluff Kitty. Kitty hero called with the effective nuts. She slow rolled us a little bit. That's A-okay. If I didn't bluff today, I'd have mostly all of those.
You did bluff. Okay.
Instead, I ran a really optimistic bluff too. So yeah, that's today. We have an off day. That's lucky.
You understand my point?
I understand your point. You take all my money every time. Thank you. Well, we made it to day two, so that's good. But I only have half a starting stack because I tried to bluff Kitty Quo, which clearly was a mistake. There was an interesting hand where under the gun limped. He was doing a lot of sporadic stuff. He was limp raising sometimes. He was punting it off post flop, and I really wanted to see cheap flops with him. So he limped under the gun. I limped at 300, 500 with a 500 ante with King Jack of Hearts. Certainly a hand I could raise. The player in the big blind was like just kind of tight. Kitty wasn't doing anything too insane. So maybe I'm just supposed to raise, but I really didn't want to get limp jammed because he was doing stuff like that where he would limp, and if I was to raise to 2,000, he just might make it 26,000. Clearly I don't want that. So I limped with King Jack of Hearts. Kitty made it 2,500 from the small blind. So I'm thinking she probably has something pretty good. Out of her 25,000 or 30,000 stack. We'll figure out stacks as we go. I'm sorry, she must have had more like 40,000. Okay, initial limper called, I called King Jack of Hearts. It comes 10, 7, 6. No hearts, nothing, I completely miss. But they checked to me. And at this point, I have to decide, are we going for it? This is a spot where if Kitty does happen to have a hand like aces, she may check raise and I'll just fold the flop. Or if she has a hand like ace king, she's going to fold to a bet most likely, or maybe check call and then fold to an additional bet. The good thing about 10-7-6 though is that very often the board's going to get really nasty. There were 2 spades on there as well, so clearly there's going to be some straight on the board by the river, or just like a random 2 pair like Jack 10 if a Jack comes. So I decided to bet 4,000. Kitty thought for a bit, then called. Other guy folded. Turn was a queen, so now I have an open-ended straight draw. 10-7-6 queen. She checks, and I bet 5,000, which I think may be a little bit small, but I wanted to make sure I could set up a big river shove of about pots. I think if I bet much bigger on the turn, I think I'm going to lose a lot of fold equity on the river. And so I bet 5. She thought for a while, then called. River was a 4. Not really what I wanted to see. I'd much rather some straight card or some flush card come in. But I still need to bluff some hands, and this seemed like a reasonable one. Especially since I don't block her flush draws. She may just check call with ace, king of spades on the flop and turn, right? So I jammed. Actually, I didn't jam. I bet 25,000. I probably should have jammed. I don't think it makes much of a difference. We were actually discussing earlier about how I overbet twice, and both times I had the nuts. So she knows I like to overbet with the nuts. I bet 25K into maybe a 20K pot. Maybe it was a little bit bigger. And she called with ace 10, which I think is probably a pretty easy call at the end of the day. But it was a bit of a bummer. Ace 10 doesn't really block any of the bluffs. When you don't block any of the bluffs, you really do need to make hero calls in a spot like that, and she did, so good job to her. It's a shame I didn't get there. Clearly I had lots of outs, but that's okay. I was down to 6,500 chips. Then I grinded the short stack. I actually don't know if I got called for any significant pot where I was not a huge favorite. I had 10-6 on hand where cutoff raised. I defended big blind. It came Jack 6-3. It went check, check. Turn was a 5. I jammed for about 1.5 times pot. He called pocket 4s, and I held up. And from there, we just kept grinding. So made it to the day with, or through the day with 22,000 chips, which is half a starting stack. It's worth about 2,500 bucks. So not chump change. I have 2 days off in Montreal. There's a Halloween party tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. And then the next day, I'm just going to try to take it easy. They're having a lot of satellites on Party Poker, so I'm going to make a point to play those. And that's it. See you when I see you. They have a lot of great art around Montreal. We're on our way to the Halloween party. Is it a Halloween party if it's not on Halloween? It's one day before Halloween. It's good timing because that gives me an off day to recover before day 2 of the main events. Here we are with Andre. All sorts of crazy art around the city. It's just everywhere. I like sculpture. I don't know why. I've always liked sculpture. This one makes music. Can you guys hear that? It just started going. It's fun stuff. Today, I'm living the online poker player's dream. I'm sitting in a robe, far away from home in a hotel room, playing online poker. We're playing lots of party poker tournaments today. They have the Monster Series going on. So, you might as well win an online tournament. Oh my goodness, we have them. Pocket Kings we raised, and we got jammed on. It's always lucky. We will play for literally any amount of money. I lost with Kings in the main event the other day. Today we're against Jacks. And we lose again. It's hard to win with Pocket Kings. I've been playing an hour and 45 minutes. We finally are picking up some hands. See if we can make anything happen with them. Maybe we'll get a walk. Looks like small blind limped. Let's go ahead and raise it up a little bit. And the opponent just limp folds. Now with Ace King, what do we do? We're definitely going to be 3-betting. Wow, all the pocket nines. We have literally all the hands. Just give up here. We're clearly going to lose. At this point in this tournament, we started with 100,000 chips. We're actually doing pretty well. Well, I say we're doing well. We're going to have to win an all-in now. Chop it up, chop it up. Please. Okay. Whew. That's lucky. We finally have it. Starting to get kind of deep in this tournament. We 3-bet the King-Jack offsuit and got a reasonable flop. How do we get stacks in? We have to go something like 12. This is a great spot because we should be getting action a ton here. It's so easy for him to have 2 pair, a set, top pair, a pair, and a draw. You can't really ask for much more than this when you 3-bet, flop the nuts on a high card board because you're just going to get paid. Now, will he call a shove on this river? It's important to note 12 get paid. There's 25 remaining, so we're not quite in the money. We're not worried about the flush, obviously. He may have it, but that's okay. I think we just jam. If he has... Oh, come on, again? I was going to say, if he had 2 pair or even ace queen, he's just not folding. But seems like we're just going to chop it up a lot on this table. Maybe getting out the video to record is a bit of a bummer. maybe it's not so lucky. Here we are, still grinding, and we finally have the pocket aces. The other few times I've tried this, it has epically failed. We are nearing the bubble of a satellite. 10 remain, 7 get paid. I have a shallow stack. I just lost a flip. This guy is not particularly aggressive, which is a bit of a bummer, but this seems like a very obvious limping spot to induce him to jam. Get a terrible flop. There's a chance we should check, but like I said, this guy's just really not aggressive. So far, we have pretty much bubbled one tournament, a $100 tournament earlier, but down here, we're actually 5 out of 42 in a $200 tournament. It's called the main event. So that's pretty nice. Oh my goodness. Every time I get out the camera to film, it's brutal. It's okay though. Hopefully we get all the bad luck out of the way today so that tomorrow in the main event, the real main event, the $5,000 main event, it goes well. There's actually a big overlay at the moment. They need 350 more players to show up and or bust and re-register to make the guarantee. So there could be a ton of overlays tomorrow. It was a pretty fun day of poker on the online felt. I haven't played in a while. It's always nice to go do that. I decided to not play all day because I realized I have a breakfast in the morning with 20 of my students. So maybe I'll see some of you there. And I wanted to go get dinner. I've been told of a few great restaurants here, and I'm going to try to check them out whenever I have time. So I have some time. I didn't want to be up all night, and I might as well go have a nice dinner. So I'm going to do that. And the satellite, it was kind of annoying. I got it all in with ace, king against ace 2 on the bubble. And then in the main event, I got it all in with ace, king against pocket 10s. I lost the flip. Then I shoved from the small blind for my 8 big blinds once I got in the money with 10-8 against king jack. So I lost those 2. So not a lucky day. You all saw the ones that I posted. I decided to stop recording the hands because that was clearly not fortunate. But yeah, I think I played like 5 tournaments today, had 1 cash and 2 bubbles, so I guess it's not the end of the world. Here we are back at the Playground Poker Club, and as you see from my face and from the venue, it is early. I woke up at 6:45 a.m. to make sure I had plenty of time to get up here for my 9:30 breakfast for my students. I hope you all know that I do love you. I make sacrifices for you, and I love it. So I'm gonna have breakfast with my students, and then we're gonna play day 2 of the 5K. Talk and act like you're having fun. We're not taking a photo.
We're having fun.
Hey, yeah, I was right.
We should be in commercials.
I know, it's 3-bet.
Special guest giving us stories.
Huh?
History lesson.
I wonder if Jonathan Little even knows this hand.
I don't know this hand. Give us the hand with Doc Earl.
Okay. The first time it happened was in 2000. The second time was probably about 2009. So it's not that historic. He's part owner of a magazine. That should give you a tip. The
So
answer,
he won.
yeah.
He lost with an overpair versus a small pair
He got knocked out of the tournament
of the tournament.
at the final table.
2000.
Twice he had an overpair. Once it was 2 sevens against 2 sixes. The other time it was 2 jacks against 2 threes.
Is that? Oh,
That's a great memory you have.
I thought it was jacks versus aces. The dual hand versus what's his name? Matt Affleck. Yeah, Matt
No.
Affleck.
Matt Affleck,
What a man effort.
poker coaching coach.
This was all in pre-flop. All the money's in pre-flop.
It reminds me a bit that kind of scenario, but yeah. I know
Matt Affleck slow played his aces until he got pro.
So who is it?
Jeff Schulman is the answer.
Jeff Schulman. Oh, card player, man.
Card player. He's been to the final table twice. Both times he had all his money in pre-flop. The first time against Chris Ferguson with 7 players left. And he had 2 sevens against 2 sixes. He knocked me out in 12th place. It's the farthest I ever got in the World Series. It was 2000. And he was the monster chip leader with 7 players left. Monstrous. Chris Ferguson was like in second or third chip position and played this big pot where they just kept raising back and forth and got it all in. And Chris spiked a 6. And now they had about the same amount of chips. The very next hand, Jeff picks up 2 kings. Chris Ferguson picks up 2 aces and doubles through him again and knocked Jeff Schulman out in 7th place. After having a gigantic chip lead, he lost back-to-back all-ins to Chris Ferguson. And if you remember the story, how many times Chris drew out to win that final table, the final hand, very famous, he was all in with ace-9 against T.J. Cloutier's ace-queen. And spiked the 9 to win it. So
It's an easy game.
you got to be lucky. You got to be lucky no matter what anyone says. And felt bad for T.J. He's finished 2nd twice and 3rd once in the main event of the World Series.
That's crazy.
That's pretty strong.
Hello, everyone. We're here with Alex Fitzgerald, the Assassinato, here in Montreal. What advice do you have for us?
You're always going to come to one hand in a tournament where you know most likely the guy has something pretty good, but you convince yourself it's the right idea to call and see one more street, and that's going to add on to 10, 25 big blinds. That ends your tournament because your general stack is about 50, 60, 70x. That's a lot to give up. Stay away from that.
Avoid those crappy spots.
Those were nice.
Here we are on the first break of day 2. I managed to make it through the re-entry period with a starting stack, which is fine. I started with half a starting stack. If I busted, I would have doubled up by re-entering. If I doubled up, I would, well, not have to pay 5,000 Canadian dollars, so that's good. I actually got up to 2 starting stacks. It was pretty brutal for one guy. He bought in late. I raised Queen Jack, button called, he called. It came King 10-9. Flopped the nuts. He led into me. He had King 8 on King 10-9. I just called, slow played. Turn was another King. He checked, I bet, he check raised me, I went all in, he called, and I doubled. Like 3 hands later, he raised from the cutoff seat. I called small blind with 9-7 suited. It came 9-8-8, 2 hearts. I did not have hearts, obviously. I'm sorry, it came 8-7-7. I had 9-7 of clubs, it came 8-7-7, so I had trips. I checked, he bet, I check raised, he jammed, I called, he had queens. So that guy's 5,000 stack just went right to me. From there, I won a few more hands to get up to 2 starting stacks, 80,000 chips. And then I had 2 pretty obvious bluff spots. I had a bad flush draw on one, and I had a open-ended straight draw on the other. Both times I had the opportunity to bet the turn and the river, and my opponents had pretty easy calls with good bluff catchers. So that was kind of lame. And now I have a starting stack. So I have 40,000 chips with a 1,200 big blind. I have Marvin Rettenmeyer on my left, who's always good action. With any luck, we won't bust now. It's always, it feels good to make it through the re-entry period, but at the same time, it doesn't feel so good when you get through with a short stack because you know, well, now if I bust, I'm just done. That said, there is a $1,500 buy-in tournament. I think started at noon, so worst case, we get to gamble in that one. Wow, what a fun level. So I started off with, I think, 40,000 chips at the beginning of that level. And I immediately had ace-king against an under-the-gun raiser. Someone else called, I called. Flop came not so good. It came king, jack, 10. Under-the-gun bet, I called. Turn was like a 4. He bet again, I called. River was a 6. He bet again, small, I called. He showed me a set of jacks, so that was a bit of a bummer. Obviously, if I just 3-bet, I end up getting stacked, so I guess that's good. I was left with a whopping 12,000 chips. From there, I won literally every hand. I guess the hand that allowed me to double. I had 20,000, someone raised button, I stole. King 5 suited, he folded, so that was good. Then I had 9-8 suited, I raised. The kid 3-bet me, I called, it comes 8-5-2, 8-5-4. I check raise all in, he calls ace queen, and I get a double. That's lucky. And then from there, I flopped a set. I flopped 2 sets. 2 sets were pretty good. And with both sets, I got paid a pretty good amount of money. Once I got it all in against the opponent drawing dead. When I turned to boat, he had a flush draw. So that was good. That got me up to 100. And then the second time, he also had a flush draw again, but he bricked. He missed. And won a lot there too. So I went from 12,000 chips when I got moved to a new table to now currently 150,000. It's a fun level. Average is about 100,000 right now, so we are hanging around. Hello everyone, we're here with Ari Engel.
Hey.
He is one of my favorite poker players. I root for him. He has some advice for you today.
play aggressive. Play really aggressive. Keep 3-betting people. Keep 4-betting. Keep 5-betting.
I'm sure you know this, but the thing people can do that's the worst is to fold.
Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not fun. That's not exciting.
Today, let's talk about overlay, something that doesn't happen very often because most tournament organizers are afraid to guarantee a tournament. However, we're here in Montreal, and Party Poker guaranteed 1,000 people. But you see, there's only 792. So what does that mean? Well, they said there'd be $5 million in the prize pool, but the players only put in 4. So that extra million has to come from Party Poker because they're a reputable site and they honor their word, right? Great for the players. Now, what does that mean if you're playing a tournament? It means that of that $1 million, that gets divided by everyone's buy-in. Is that right? No, $1 million gets divided by 800 people, which is $1,250. There we go, my brain's not working. I've been playing poker all day. So, you put in $5,000 to play, but you get $6,250. So right off the bat, you have a nice 20% return on investment or so. That is amazing. It is hard to go wrong if you're even a reasonable player whenever there is a nice amount of overlay, and every once in a while it happens. I actually told a few friends it would happen, a few other people heard about it, and they flew in just to play the tournament because they realized, it costs only a few $100 to get here, and, well, you get that money, right? You put in a few hundred, you put in $5,000 to play, and your value, your equity, is $6,250. So think of the value. Sometimes you just have to get out there and collect it. Thanks to Party Poker for doing it. There are 200 players left. 100 get paid. I have about an average stack. So let's make it happen.
You're having some fun now. You enjoy it?
Thank you.
T'avais lancé de trèfle en main pour moi? That was I like that. Double knockout.
I got 200. 250.
Nice hand.
Thank you. You having fun?
Yeah.
C'est scellé. C'est à 4 joueurs, je suis sûr que. Tu concordes?
Maybe tomorrow.
Wowee, what a day. I made it through today 3 of the World Poker Tour tournament. I'm probably 2nd or 3rd or 4th in chips out of the 130 players remain. 103 get in the money, so we were very near the money. I had won a really big flip right at the end of the day. A guy raised under the gun off of a 30 big blind stack. I just called with ace king. Folds around to a guy who'd been very splashy. He shoved for 20 big blinds. Gets back around to the under the gun player. He jammed as well for 30. I'm like, well, we have ace king. We weren't flatting pre-flop to try to fold it. So I popped it in there. I was against the under the gun player's pocket jacks and the ace queen of the player for 20 big blinds who shoved. And it came with an ace and a king and an ace and a queen. And I won a huge pot. So that was good. Really, everything went right for me today. I did get it all in with top 2 pair against top pair to flush draw, and he got the flush on the river. That was a bit unfortunate, but it didn't really mean only lost 100,000 chips or so. It's always funny. Poker players always want to talk about the hands they lose. Most everything went right for me. I got it in good a lot. I didn't run too many bluffs. And all in all, after I got down to 12,000 chips early in the day, I won almost every hand I played. I think I lost 1 significant pot, and then I chopped one as well when I had King Jack against Jack 8 on Jack 3-3. But then I stacked that guy. That was the guy who had the ace queen at the end of the day, so I got all those chips as well. So it worked out great. We have over 100 big blinds. I'm going to get some rest, and we'll try it again in about 12 hours. close. We're almost there. 10 more people have to leave. So we are in the money in the $5,000 buy-in tournament, which sounds great. Most people are thrilled. I'm kind of unhappy about it though. The bubble did not go well. I got it all in 3 times on the bubble and right as soon as we got in the money. And I lost all 3. Actually, I wasn't all in. The other people were all in. So that was a bit unfortunate. I was ahead twice and behind once. So can't do much about that. I had 2 shots to spike draws on people who bet the flop small and then blasted the turn. That's a great spot to be in because if you get there, you just get paid. But I didn't get either of those as well. So now we're in the money. I have 420,000 chips, which is 42 big blinds. Probably about average. There's about 75 people remaining, which is, you know, a reasonable number. I'm happy about this. My table's gonna break soon. I had a great table, really. A few people were really going off. A few people were really nitty. And that actually is a great spot to be in, but, you know, it doesn't do me any good whenever I lose all my all-ins. So, I know this vlog's getting a little bit long, so we're going to stop it here because I have no clue how the rest of the day is going to go, but it's going to be exciting either way. Either we're going to stay in the main event, which will be great, or we're going to pop right back there and play in a $10,000 buy-in high roller, one of the two. So far, we're guaranteed $11,000 or $12,000 in this $5,000 tournament, so I'll take that and plow it into the 10K or turn it into a pile. You'll have to come back next time to see which happens.